It's NBT Reacts, where you send me your examples of horrible, awful, miserable, boring training. I respond in the moment to diagnose what went wrong and how we can improve it for the next time. In other words, how can we get a better result, a better impact from the training in our organizations? I'm Adam Spack, certified no boring trainer. If you'd like to send an example of horrible, awful, miserable, boring training for the next episode of NBT Reacts, send it to the address you see on screen. Today's example comes to us from a member of NBT Nation, and it's about an onboarding experience gone horribly wrong. Now, in this example, the organization at least had some sort of onboarding defined and put together, and that's a huge step forwards. We've heard in previous episodes of organizations, companies not having any onboarding at all. In fact, a shocking number of organizations have no onboarding whatsoever. And the likelihood of people joining the team, getting frustrated, and then leaving the company in short periods of time, less than a year, is incredibly high, like mind-blowingly high. In fact, I had another member of NBT Nation reach out to me recently, joined a company, thrown to the wolves, no guidance, no onboarding, no nothing. Just give me a call if you got any questions. And guess what? They just accepted a new job role at a different firm in about a year's time. So huge amount of organizational wasted time, money, and resources, let alone the opportunity cost of that individual not contributing because they've left and moved on because there's no onboarding at all. But in today's example, there was at least an onboarding. At least we got that. But it sounds like things drifted off a little high and right. So let's dive in. I got this via email, so I'm going to be reading off the screen. I started a new job 3 weeks ago, and while there was some good parts of onboarding, most of it was a mess. It's not a great start. I was emailed an Excel sheet with a to-do list, and many of the items had a link next to them. Step 5 was to request programs through the tech help desk, programs which I needed for steps 1 through 4. So, I mean, we could start there. The spreadsheet is not a bad approach, and I've used that technique myself. And whether it's an Excel sheet, a Smart Sheet, a Trello board, Notion, something like that to kind of line out and organize the steps of the onboarding, that can be very workable. It can be a great low-cost solution. But why not have like step 1 be fill out this ticket to get access to all the systems you're going to need throughout onboarding? Or better yet, and follow me on this, why doesn't the hiring manager, as part of bringing this individual on board, fill out all the tickets with IT? Because they know the programs that they need. They know the inner workings of that organization. They probably have a relationship with IT. So instead of having the new hire who's been on board for 2 seconds, having them have to reach out to IT, why not just do that all ahead of time? So day 1, all that is set up, and that's all owned and managed by the hiring manager. So definitely an improvement we can make there, but the general gist, have some sort of document, spreadsheet, template to follow. I like that. It can be a great way, like I said, for a low-cost, impactful way to get somebody onboarded. For each program, I had to submit a help desk ticket, which went to the tech department. Then they had to get manager approval, and then they would add the program. All of these had to be requested individually. What a waste of time and energy. Yeah, like I said, the hiring manager should set all that up ahead of time. Moving on, half of the links didn't work or required a passcode that was not provided, and I needed to request additional access to use them. All of them were web-based and self-paced with no point of contact if there was any question. Some utilized good design process, most of them didn't. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to have this sort of self-guided onboarding process with links in a document or a template or whatever, make sure the links work. And in a lot of organizations, the access and permissions to all these various systems can be quite complicated and pretty finicky. And listen, I've experienced that myself. You put together this whiz bang thing and you roll it out, and as soon as they click on a link, sorry, you got to request access. And it's, no big deal. You request the access, I'll approve it right away. But it ruins the experience for sure. And then if there's glitches or those links are dead or don't go anywhere, that can be hugely disruptive. So make sure the links work. Make sure that if there's any permissions, those get sorted out. And if you experience the lack of permissions, the lack of access to these, what can be quite complicated programs inside a network, make sure you start incrementally improving that. Some of the items were quite time consuming. You could spend days on those trainings, and there was no direction about which tutorials were applicable or how to prioritize time. Again, there's a huge area of risk there. If everything's important, then nothing ends up being important. And this is a new individual, so they don't know the context, the history. They don't know if this is like the most critical piece of knowledge ever that they need to retain from their onboarding, or if this is just sort of nice to know, sort of general stuff. So give them some guidance. Put a priority listing in your spreadsheet. Put some notes in there that, hey, this is mission critical. You really got to focus on this. This over here, if you remember it, great. If you don't, great. Give them some guidance. I met with my manager day 1 and 5 and haven't since. Every other interaction has been me reaching out via email or Teams chat. I'm pretty resourceful and independent person, but I would think there'd be a bit more of a check-in procedure. Well, yeah. Day 1 and 5 from the hiring manager? So you went 2, 3, and 4, 0 contact from your manager. How's it going? What did you take away from today's learning? What questions do you have for me? Were you surprised by anything? Hey, pay attention to none of that. That's pants on head banana, just crazy. Check in with your people. Now some organizations, the onboarding experience is handled maybe by a different group, maybe a training team, the HR team, whatever. They go to onboarding for some period of time, and then they're sort of gift wrapped and handed back off to the manager. That can happen, but even in that case, the manager should check in on a regular basis. The new hire shouldn't be fighting for the manager's attention. The manager should be fighting for the new hire's attention. You're bringing the individual onto the team. So use that time to do so. They shouldn't have to hunt you down and, please, sir, may I have another? It's just stupid. So check in with your people on a regular basis throughout onboarding. I was assigned a peer mentor. Cool. We met days 1 and 2, and then they took off on a planned holiday. When they returned, they were so swamped with regular work, it took another period of time to check back in. The idea of a peer mentor is amazing, but there seems to be no definition for the role. Yeah, again, there's a lot going on in this organization they're in the right ballpark. Having a defined roadmap to follow, having manager check-ins, having a mentor assigned, all great stuff. But yeah, having no clear definition for the mentorship responsibility, no roadmap of how often they should check in, no sort of backup plan if that mentor is not available. And mentor checking in on day 1 and 2 seems a bit early in the process. Again, that's really where the hiring manager should be building and fostering and forging that relationship more so than a mentor, in my opinion. But anyway, I don't know the details of this organization. But if you're going to have a mentorship program, awesome, but it's got to be defined. The expectations have to be clear. Otherwise, if you just show up for a day and then disappear for 2 weeks and then come back, it's very weird. It's off-putting to the new hire. So if you think there's a lot of room for improvement here, my friends, you're right. But we're not done yet. Hold on to your hats here, because it just keeps getting better. And by better, I mean worse. The second week, I was contacted by people on the team about project assignments. No explanation, no background, just here's an assignment. Again, with no idea where to find the information, and when I did, I needed to go request access for it. I did my own research and I reached out to others in the company. I was put on a third assignment at the end of this week, and it was a totally different experience. The project manager scheduled a 30-minute meeting with the team, went over expectations, shared an outline document with links and timeline. It was glorious. I mean, again, they're so close to having the right idea. I actually like the idea of starting to give sort of assignments or defined work early on in a new hire's onboarding experience. And that assignment can be related to the onboarding process itself. Put together a presentation about the history of the company as just an example. Or it could be job skills related. You can start to give them work that they would normally be doing on a daily basis as part of their onboarding, which prevents your new hire from sort of sitting around trying to look busy, because that can often happen. And as a new hire, you have that anxiety of like, I'm supposed to be doing something, I'm just not sure So you can eliminate all that by giving them work in this sort of prescribed manner. So they got the right idea. That's cool. I like that part. However, the idea that some random person, some rando, is just going to give you a tasking. No hi, no hello. I'm Bob. Nice to meet you. Nothing. Just, hey, do this thing. I mean, that's just stupid. I mean, that's just dumb. I mean, of course the new hire is going to be confused. They're not going to understand the context. The work that's going to be done is not going to be as effective as it should be. And think of the anxiety that's going to produce. Is this the CEO reaching out to me? Or is this, Jerry down in marketing? I mean, it's just crazy. So, and we see the proof in the pudding here. The third assignment, the project manager had the sense to reach out and say, hi, I'm Mary. Here's the thing that we're going to do. Do you have any questions? Here's the expectation. Here's the timeline. Here's blah, blah, blah. So I like very much this idea of including work assignments as part of an onboarding experience. Love that. But don't just dump work on the person with zero explanation or even just a hello. In summary, if I wasn't the type of person I am, I'll figure this out if it kills me, I would have been extremely overwhelmed and frustrated. As it stands, I'm still pretty unclear as to how most of the onboarding expectations apply to my actual role, but I just shrug, smile, and say, I'll figure out what I need to do when I need to do it. I mean, here we have an individual who's got that sort of fire in the belly to like, I'm just going to power through this. But even for them, think about how much time is being wasted for the organization. Think about how inefficient this is. Think about how much just wasted time is happening, and the organization is not seeing any benefit. And more importantly, the individual is not seeing any benefit. I guess I'm doing something. I don't even know how this relates to my job role. I mean, that's not a good position, but that's an individual who's willing to just sort of power through. Think about the kind of individual who's not willing to do that. And frankly, I don't think an individual, if you're going to bring somebody into the company and you can't even be bothered to give them an onboarding experience, you are so rude and disrespectful that you're just like, here, figure it out. Well, get the hell out of there. Eject quickly, because that's how it's going to be the rest of your working environment. Just figure it out. And what a ridiculous way for a business in a modern society. With all the tools and resources we have, it's not that hard to throw together an onboarding program. If you got an Excel spreadsheet and you can hyperlink and you can put something in a logical order, you can build out an onboarding program. So we shouldn't expect people to have to figure it out. Kudos to this member of NBT Nation who's gritting it out. But this is a huge waste of organizational time. You're not going to get the impact that you want from this new hire. They're going to take much longer to get proficient in their job role and start contributing. The ramp time is going to be increased. And you run the risk of them just saying the heck with it and leaving your organization. And now you have the cost of onboarding totally thrown down, just light a pile of money on fire, and you got to start the whole thing all over again. So what's the final verdict on this? Normally I'd say hot garbage, but they at least had something. So feeling a little generous today, I'll say sort of lukewarm, been sitting in the summer sun for a couple days garbage. They got the right idea. They got the right bits and pieces. It just needs some fine tuning to actually make it be effective. So there you have it, my friends, the final verdict on this onboarding experience gone wrong. Like I said at the top of the episode, if you have an example of horrible, awful, miserable, boring training, and you'd like me to respond in the moment to diagnose what went wrong or how we could improve for next time, send it in to the address you see on screen. We accept video and email submissions. If you found this helpful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, or share with a friend.